And welcome back to a special edition of 726. We're joined here with Jack Moyer, who actually called me a few days ago. And if people remember in the Harrison Daily Times that there was a announcement that there's some financial issues there at the Crescent Hotel. I'm sorry. The
Hotel Seville.
Boy, I'm thinking of over there. I'm going to do this again, okay?
Yeah, don't make that mistake.
Yeah, really.
Make some news.
I'm thinking of Crescent Base in Seville. Thanks for joining us again. We're here doing a special interview with Jack Moyer. He's the president and CEO of the Seville Restaurant Hospitality, Inc. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Dan. We appreciate it.
You know, everyone knows that if they get the Harrison Daily Times, they've read in there about your financial issues, and basically Chapter 11 was right there on the front page.
Sure.
And you called me the other day and asked if you could come on and explain that, and it kind of threw me with a little shock, because you know, people that have financial problems, they first off, they're embarrassed and they're concerned about what is tomorrow.
Sure. But
you tackle this head on.
Well,
and that's why you're here. You want to talk about it.
I do, and I think it's important. You know, we took on a big project, and when I say we, the company's name is PFI Hospitality, and the P stands for principle. Mm-hmm. And we believe really strongly in principle and principled actions in how we operate the business. So when we hit some financial challenges, and it's not that the business isn't growing. In fact, we grew 18% last year. Mm-hmm. We're growing again this year. It's just when we started in 2008, February 2008. Hindsight that doesn't look like that great of a decision.
Right.
But when we started in 2008, we took on a lot of debt. And in fact, we took on 85% of the cost to renovate that hotel, buy and renovate that hotel in debt load. Right. And you know, I mean, it seemed aggressive at the time, but attainable at the time. Mm-hmm. Of course, the bottom dropped.
Right. And we were affected by that also.
Sure. Okay.
I think everyone was.
Oh, yeah. And you know, this is just a real life story that you read in the news that's happening in your hometown.
Yeah.
So we our group, this is 17 people, many who live in this community, mm-hmm. or live in North Arkansas, who decided that they wanted to try a preservation effort and save that historic building. So long story short is the revenues that are being brought in at the Seville, although growing, are not enough to cover the mm-hmm. debt service. Debt service is $30,000 a month. So it's not a small amount.
And I'm assuming here that the reason you're taking this route is because the bank is not allowing any leeway on.
Well, that is true.
Refinance or
the fact is that, you know, there's two paths of bankruptcy, and there's a Chapter 7, which means here you go, banker, here's your keys back, and there's a Chapter 11, which is actually called reorganization. It's a proactive attempt to reorganize our building, mm-hmm.
And
to save it for the community. And I'm really pleased our shareholders opted not to say the debt's too much, and instead opted in for the Chapter 11 and said, listen, we're growing, we have a chance to make, but we're going to need a workout plan and a reorganization with our bank partners to see if a solution exists. So, mm-hmm. so that's where we're at right now. We want the community to know we're going to be open. We obviously are open. Mm-hmm. We are in a voluntary reorganization at this point. It's a Chapter 11, and you know, before the end of the year, this year, we're going to have developed a workout plan. We know what needs to happen,
right?
And obviously, part of that's continue to grow. We know what else needs to happen, mm-hmm. and we just need our financial partners to see if they'll work with us on it.
Well, I want to parallel some points here, because I know you before you moved here, you had successful hotels in Eureka Springs.
Sure.
How is that different there than it is here?
Well,
as far as
they are different, and I should say the Crescent and the Basin Park Hotel, which is still my day job, are doing very well. So they're not a part of this at all. but as I go back and look at it, you know, the Hotel Seville is on a pretty similar plane to the Basin Park Hotel. And, you know, really it just comes down to the Basin Park would have been in the same or similar situation if we didn't have an equity partner there that could carry us through this.
Right.
The Hotel Seville, its location is emerging, but is still struggling. And you know, some of the solutions here are to really drive more overnight traffic into the Durand Center. We're so lucky in this community to have the Durand Center. It is a brilliant facility, and one of the things that we need to do is revisit how it's being booked by the different agencies and whose responsibility. And one of the things that we're going to try to do is step more into a lead position, bringing overnight bookings into the Durand Center and facilitate that, make it a little bit more guest friendly.
Okay.
The Durand Center is a key component. Overnight bookings into the Durand Center are quite simply essential for the hotel across from the Durand Center to be in existence. And the other component is really the square, the Lake Harrison Marketplace concept. We need to establish that. People need things to do if they're going to overnight. And you know, for years we've tried to say we're going to reestablish overnight occupancy into downtown Harrison. And to do that, they need to feel safe. It needs to be well lit. It needs to be clean. There's some aesthetic challenges, and I'm pleased to say that the city is working on that sidewalk area. But we need to look sharper than we do today down there to have people say, I'm going to seek out that location.
Well, you know, we've had, through the years, 20, 30 years, the downtown has slowly gone by the wayside of I would say Walmarts and big box stores and that kind of thing. There's more opportunity to shop. And we see a resurgence in several towns across the nation of that coming back. And they're offering a more eclectic things to do, more variety things to do. Is that what you want to focus on?
Well, I think so. And, you know, unique and experiential, I think, is what we're talking about here. You know, part of it is human behavior. You know, for a while there, the bypass, obviously, you've seen the effect of the bypass. It has bypassed downtown, and businesses that rely on traffic weren't able to carry that. So what it's going to take, Dan, is, in my opinion, and this is all just Jack's opinion or the opinion of our shareholders, a little bit more collaboration of some of the entities that are down there. You know, whether it's the CATPC or the Chamber, HHBA or the city government. I think reality is none of those entities are really large enough or strong enough to carry the whole load.
And you see those entities working solo on their special projects.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to challenge, because we really believe in the principle. You know, we really believe in the plan. Let's vet the plan and then execute it. We really believe that those entities need to work closer together. We don't believe that one can be fully funded and the others can be cash strapped. And you know, if you look at the OAC as an example, there's an organization that's producing programming, has the Lyric building, and is cash strapped. And you know, the question would be, is there a collaboration that HHBA and OAC and the Chamber and the CATPC could work together, share resources, and drive attendance to some of these great events that we already have?
Right.
I'll give you an example. Crawdad Days. What a great event.
Right.
People know of Crawdad Days, but the question would be, are we driving destination travel in to enjoy Crawdad Days? And of course, it's primarily a local event, but it's also a tourism event.
Right.
And I think we can do better that if we collaborate.
And I think the Harrison Regional Chamber of Commerce has done that and succeeds to do that every year. But over the years, they have the funds that were normally there from other entities have been taken away.
Yeah,
that's almost counterproductive to me, because it's not really looking at the goal of what you're ultimately doing, and that's bringing people into the city of Harrison.
Yeah, and I think probably what we need to do as a whole is evaluate what are our known strengths and start there. You know, the Lyric is a known strength, the Durand Center is a known strength, the lake itself, an in-city lake, is a known strength. Some of our events and festivals, you know, hot air balloon championships and crawdad days, these are known strengths. And I guess one of the things that I would look at doing is strengthening our known strength, creating a brand image. You know, we're 13 miles from a national park region. I mean, I can tell you, a few people would love to be 13 miles. You want to talk about how that relates to quality of life? Well, if I'm looking for a place to live, and I'm an outdoor enthusiast, but I'm also a tech guy,
right?
You know, I'm going to seek out a place that's close to a national park area. Right. There's lots of towns in Colorado that have capitalized on that, and I would say that that model's available to us here in Harrison. So,
there's a lot of entities here that you would think that when you come to Harrison, you would know all that, but it's detached information here, there, and everywhere. So people really have to struggle to say, why am I here in Harrison?
Well, let me give you an example. You know, the business of the Buffalo River is done at the National Parks Service office. It's in Harrison. All the people who live and work for the Buffalo River, full-timers, live and work here in Harrison. You know, and you know, I was fortunate enough to go to the Strategic Center. The superintendent, Kevin Cherie, took a few of us on a tour. I don't know if you know, but in that building in Harrison, there's the GPS, the GIS mapping, and all of the command and control center for Pea Ridge, all the way up into the Arch, St. Louis Arch, is running out of Harrison, Arkansas, and that team of professionals is right here. So, you know, we are so lucky to be 13 miles from the Pruitt access point. Great hiking, wonderful floating, watchable wildlife. Yeah, but we need to extend that image and that brand, because what people need to recognize is we have a negative brand on our destination, and you know, we can brush it under the rug and things to that extent, but we have a negative brand, and we need to challenge that negative brand. Well, we're not that.
Yeah,
we are a gateway city.
Now, are you talking about like the core, what they're trying to do?
Well, I think CORE has identified that principle as something that's necessary, but our destination needs to have a brand.
Yeah.
And that relates to, that brand then feeds into our quality of life, people that relocate here, people that want to have meetings here. Ultimately, the brand has to be established, and then from there, all of these other components will play into it. We need to develop more meetings that have overnight capacity in the Durand Center, and part of that is the attendees have to want to come to Harrison, Arkansas.
Yeah. What's next now? Now that you've introduced, you're going to develop a plan and introduce it later on this year, or sometime within a year?
Well, there's two things. Number one is we are in reorganization. So I'm really proud of our employees. Not one of our employees says, well, I'm out of here then. Not one employee did.
That's
they
good
said,
to know.
you know, we've got a good thing here. You know, it's not as though the product is the challenge. The hotel is actually ranked 13th in the entire brand. We do really well on the TripAdvisors and the Expedia. So our guest feedback is good. We could even do better. You know, if we could get our revenue up, we could add service, and we want to. We want to be a full-service hotel in Harrison, Arkansas, and that requires revenue to be able to pay those salaries. But first, we need to establish a plan. We have some exciting ideas of how we could collaborate with a couple other entities, one of which, of course, would be the Durand Center. So that's first and foremost. And then our shareholders have challenged me personally to develop recommendations of how our destination could improve its performance. And again, this isn't about people. This isn't about us being mad at one individual or another. It's not that. The question is, let's develop a principled plan that's right for the destination. And then let's call the question. Let's ask if this is the right thing to do. Because we have the assets, and we're being held back by almost like interdepartmental conflicts with one another. And you know, at some point, you just have to call the question and say, is it really the best thing for this town? And I think that time may be now.
Yeah, and I think that's important. With your willingness to come on the show, at your asking me, because you want to get the entire story out, and you want to face the fact that, and you're not one of those people that I have not seen is someone that is strictly concerned about the profit or loss of their individual business.
Sure.
You're involved in some of the organizations here, and it's all about the attraction of how Harrison can be for this region.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. You know, really, our primary goal, Dan, was to renovate this hotel and establish that downtown area. And, you know, in fact, one of the workout plans that we're working on currently does exactly that. And the existing owners actually would forego their ownership, but to protect the Hotel Seville, you know, it's sort of linked directly to the heritage of this community and how this community feels about itself. And, you know, the conversations that I've even had with Mayor Crockett, I don't think he'd have a problem with me sharing, is first and foremost, we have to save the building. You know, I mean, because if we don't save the Hotel Seville, then how many people will say, see, even they can't make it?
Yeah.
That's a big negative, and we have to fight that one off. And if that means that our existing shareholders forego their ownership interest to develop a plan that works, that's definitely on the table.
Well, I know the people that I've talked to, when they say, have you heard, or I'll say, have you heard about what you're going through? And now the first reaction is, oh no, I don't want that to happen.
Sure.
So I think that I think most people that are in our viewing area are real concerned about that, because all the money and effort and time that you wanted to restore that building and bring it back to its former beauty and utilize it as something that's going to be an attraction downtown. I think we don't want to lose that.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to lose it either. You know, in fact, you know, there's two of us that actually have a personal guarantee on it, and myself and Don Alberson, and you know, if things go south for the personal guarantors also.
Sure.
So it's pretty difficult. With that said, you know, I want people to know that we chose a Chapter 11. We didn't choose a Chapter 7. The reason is because we are growing. We wanted to remain open without question, and in doing so, we have commitments out there, and we're planning on honoring them. And then really, it's time to say, can we make or can we not?
Yeah.
And there's things that can be done, because I oftentimes think that this community doesn't recognize the assets that they have. It's probably true of every community, but Harrison's really blessed with a lot of very positive things that bundled together could make something special. And, you know, maybe it's time that we just look at what are those principles, what are those key assets, can we strengthen and secure them and develop something that the community can be proud of. And I think we have a little bit of a complex of the whole in the community that maybe speaks down a little bit to Harrison, and should be much more proud of what is available here. It's a very nice place to live. The quality of life here is excellent. The people that live in this community and the work ethic of this community, people should build up, not tear down, because it's a big positive. And, you know, living next to a national park region, having the national park headquarters in your town, having the Lyric and all the programming of the OAC. I mean, how many volunteer hours go into the OAC?
Absolutely.
You know, looking at the events of the Chamber of Commerce and the effort of people that volunteer there, you know, if we could just get that moving in the right direction.
And maybe collaborate with each other. Yeah, sure.
I mean, the effort of the core group and the strategic plan that they developed, it's all very good stuff. But we do have to start implementing.
Will you come back at a later date
and
give us some updates every now and then?
Sure.
Because I think most people don't like failure, and they don't like to see other people fail. And this is something so iconic in the city of Harrison that we want to know what's going on, and you have offered that opportunity to come on the show and let people know from your heart how you feel. And I admire that. I know that sometimes when our clients may have financial problems, we'll get a letter, and they're gone.
Yeah, sure.
And I appreciate it. I'm sure our audience does too. They appreciate your honesty and you're willing to not only save your business but do good for the entire community.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that. We can make it. We're looking to work together with folks that want to do the greater good. So that's what we're working on.
Thanks for coming by, Jack. I
You
really
bet.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
This has been an extremely long interview, but I think it was necessary that we brought out this information. If you want more information about the Seville or Jack Moyer or anything like that, the website?
Yeah, hotelseville.com, or they can email me directly, jackmoyer@gmail.com.
And that information will be on his website. If you'd like more information, call here at the station. We'll get you in contact with what's going on. Thank you very much again, Jack.
Thanks, Dan.